You're listening to eLearnChat, where talk is knowledge.
Hello and welcome to eLearnChat, our new podcast featuring prominent leaders, shakers and movers in the e-learning and training industry. Well, good morning, everyone, or good day, wherever you are. This is eLearnChat, episode number 49. Almost at 50. We're getting old. Anyway, it is March 7th, and here we are. Next to me is our co-host, Coline Sunlee. Hi, Coline.
Hey, Rick. Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. So, how have you been?
A lot better.
A lot better.
Thank you.
Coline had a bad flu last week and showed up anyway, so she gets points for that.
Yeah.
When you get enough points, you get something. We don't know what yet, but
a new mic.
And another mic.
or a $50 President's Rolex watch.
And that voice
mail-ordered.
And that voice you just heard is our guest today, who actually now owns the show. She is the first three-time guest, threefer.
She's a three-peat.
And if you just look off screen, you'll see that there are rifles on both of our heads, so we have to be very careful what we say to her.
Yeah.
And you all know her. Hey, Trish Uhl, how are you?
Hey, everybody. I'm very well, Rick. Thanks. Hi, Coline.
Hey there.
Thanks for having me on the show for the third time.
Oh,
hooray.
Always.
Yay, cake.
Yep. And so what have you been up to?
What have I been up to? Holy smokes. We've been up to a lot of stuff. There's a lot going on. First quarter typically is very, very busy for us because we've got a lot of different things happening in parallel. So, for instance, with ASTD CPLP candidates, January is the time when we have candidates, well, January and February is the time when we have candidates both in, we've got some candidates that are working towards a knowledge exam, and then we've got some candidates that are working towards work product. So we're running multiple workshops and a lot of coaching sessions, and it's just an incredible amount of stuff. And then the other cool thing is, hooray! It just went live yesterday, but we are taking Owl's Ledge workshops to Dubai. So we will be in Dubai for the first time in June. Oh my gosh, I've caused some sort of disruption in the universe.
That sounds good. Dubai. Wow.
Yeah, very exciting. We've been working on that for a long time. So hello to everybody at LearnActive, which is our partner company in Dubai, who's going to be hosting us. So I will be there June 10th through the 15th.
I saw a special, I think it was on House Hunters International on Dubai the other day. It looks beautiful.
Oh, it looks amazing. And this will be my first trip to the Middle East.
Interesting.
Yeah. So what have you guys been up to?
Work. Colleen?
Work.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And getting over the flu.
That sounds good. Well, actually, for those who don't know, Coline is a CPLP. How many CPLPs are there now, do you think?
1,165.
Well,
and
as down to the number.
Yeah, right. Thereabouts. So 1,165 worldwide. And we should have the next round of people who are announced as certified by the end of April.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So would you say the certification's really taking off?
Yeah, it's really interesting, to watch it because we're still really in an early adopter phase. The credential, the CPLP actually turned 6 years old this year operationally. It's 7 years old if you count the pilot. And if you compare that against other professional certifications in related industries especially, so if you think of SHRM, the Society for Human Resource Management, they have two credentials, the PHR and the SPHR, and it took about 10 years for those credentials, those certifications to go mainstream. So, again, you figure that the CPLP at this point is, again, 6 years old operationally, 7 if you count the pilot. So we're just getting into where we're really getting some traction. And I know that one of the things that's going to help it explode is that as of the last part of last year, the last part of 2011, the ASTD Certification Institute actually opened exam centers in different parts of the world. So there's an exam center in Dubai, there's one in Saudi Arabia, there are 2, 3, or 4 in India now, there's one in the UK in London, and that's the first time that there have been exam centers outside of North America. Previous to that, if you were a global candidate, you had to fly into either Canada or the United States in order to sit the exam, and now people have an opportunity to do it a little closer to home.
I tell you, people will do anything not to have to go through TSA, isn't that right?
Right, right.
Hey, Trish, we have a fellow pioneer online with us, Dawn Mahoney.
Yay, Dawn Mahoney! Wait. I have my own sound effect for Dawn. Well, and all of you should know that not only is Dawn Mahoney one of the CPLP pilot pioneers, as am I, but Dawn is also a really good friend and a great colleague. And this is a perfect opportunity, actually, to give Dawn some recognition. So Dawn and I are about to recertify our CPLP for the second time, which is crazy. We were both certified as part of the first wave in 2006.
Wow.
And Dawn has been instrumental in helping to work with other CPLP candidates and other CPLPs and with the ASTD Certification Institute to make sure that the first time that we recertified, because we were not only the pilot for the actual certification itself, but then we became the pilot for the first, cohort that actually went through the recertification process. And Dawn has dedicated an awful lot of time, energy, and resources to helping other colleagues and peers not only be successful in achieving the certification, but in helping us to maintain it as well. So thanks, Dawn.
Yeah, that's really good.
She said she's red-faced right now, Trish.
Yeah, Dawn's been amazing. And the other person that I think of from the beginning is Valerie Knoll out of Nebraska. So I don't know if Valerie's going to join us today, but when you see Valerie and you see Dawn at ASTD events, hug them, because I'll tell you, they've gone through a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in order to, help the program get to where it is today.
Yeah, isn't Valerie really instrumental with the competency model, Trish?
Yeah, well, the competency model, Valerie actually worked to put together several years ago. She was the first director of certification for Nebraska ASTD. So I don't know, a lot of people, ASTD is the American Society for Training and Development. They have the ASTD Certification Institute, which is a separate legal entity from ASTD, the member association. And so the ASTD Certification Institute, otherwise known as ASTD-CI, is responsible for the competency model, which is the professional standard that defines learning and performance. And it's the competency model upon which the Certified Professional in Learning and Performance, or CPLP, is based. And so ASTD National is out of Alexandria, Virginia. ASTD Certification Institute is also based out of Alexandria, Virginia. And then ASTD has 125 chapters across the United States and 30 global networks. And so Valerie was the first director of certification for Nebraska ASTD out of Omaha, and was instrumental in putting together some really amazing materials to help other chapters be able to socialize the concept of a professional standard in their own local communities. So she put together PowerPoint presentations and talking points and all kinds of collateral materials that are available to chapters that are now part of the CPLP toolkit that's put out by the Certification Institute. That was all in part started by Valerie and her work.
Now, you were going to talk a little bit today about e-learning, blended e-learning, and I guess some of the things that you've been doing as well as ASTD's doing.
Yeah, so the competency model, and actually, so Coline, I think you've got some media up for us. Can we flash a copy of the competency model up on the screen?
If Rick would like to share my screen, then I can probably do that.
Well, I can't share your screen. You just have to switch your Skype to screen sharing.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Yeah, let me find the competency model here.
Yeah, and we're sorry. I got Trish's email. Well, I didn't get Trish's email, so as a result, we didn't have all this ready. My bad.
No, it's a live show. It's a free for all. It's free form. It's all good. So So the competency model, which we'll show on the screen in just a second here, again, defines the professional standard for workplace learning and performance. And I mean that specifically, it is actually the model that is used by the U.S. Department of Labor. It's recognized by the U.S. Department of Labor as the professional standard for learning and performance here in the United States. And it's quickly being adopted by other similar agencies in other parts of the world. So the significance of that is the e-learning or the electronic education materials that we, Owl Sledge, put together, as well as other people in the CPLP space, we're very serious about modeling what's in the competency model. I mean, so...
I think we're getting a little bit of an echo. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I don't know where that started from. I haven't changed anything.
Coline, is your Justin muted?
Yes, it is.
It is. I wonder why I'm getting an echo.
Alrighty, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share my screen.
By the way, having done this on Skype, it's no fun. It's not the easiest. Are you sharing your screen?
There we go, here, screen, and... Okay, I'm sharing.
There we go. That worked.
Perfect.
Oh, hooray! Can you, so there's the actual model. I think there might be an image there. Oh, it's like a play within a play. A screen within a screen.
Okay, is that, I think there's a little bit of a delay, but it should be up soon.
Fabulous. So the ASTD Workplace Learning and Performance Competency Model has the integration of the different areas of expertise and the foundational competencies. And this is relevant to what we're talking about today with electronic education and learning technologies, because that's really part of what the competency model is all about. You know, can you use successfully learning technologies in order to provide learning opportunities and create learning assets for the different audiences that you serve? And so what we wanted to do today was to actually walk you through some of the materials that we use, that we, Owl Sledge, use in order to help CPLP candidates be successful in learning and performance. And again, it's, you know, we're trying to walk the talk. We're trying to actually operationalize and use everything that's in the competency model in order to provide, you know, rich and robust learning experiences for the people who go through our certification prep program, and not only help them be successful in certification, but also better learning and performance practitioners. Cool beans.
So which one would you like up next, Trish?
Yeah, so I think, can you go ahead and pull up the Millionaire game?
Yeah, I believe I have it up. Just be patient while I...
No, that's okay. So so one of the things that we do is, in the CPLP certification process, as part of the exam, you have to go through 150 multiple choice questions across 9 areas of expertise and 3 foundational competencies that are found in the competency model. And that translates into 51 pages of actually different topic areas and objectives that you could, 51 pages, not 51 topics and objectives, but 51 pages of topics and objectives that you could find on the 150 multiple choice exam. And so that's an awful lot of content, an awful lot of ground to cover, usually in a short amount of time. Candidates take about 10 to 12 weeks, about 3 to 6 hours a week in their study prep to get ready to sit the first phase of the credentialing process, which is the certification exam, which is the knowledge exam. So one of the tools that we use is actually, we've got these little flash games that we have, that we use from 3-Minute Learning. And we've populated them with multiple choice questions. So in this particular case, one of the ways that people can interact with the content is by playing these little flash-based games and answer multiple choice questions. And it's really cool because it actually plays, it's got the music of Millionaire, it actually plays like Millionaire, it'll ask you whether or not you've just picked your final answer, so it's using that whole, that paradigm that's familiar, of course, for many audiences where Millionaire, the TV show, is broadcast. And it's just a fun way of being able to interact with the material.
Yeah, I just opened one of the questions, Trish.
I'm sorry, 3-Minute Learning is, that's Ray Jimenez's company, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, I thought so. He's also an alumni of the show.
Yep.
I'm sorry, Coline.
Oh, no, I was just letting Trish know that I opened one of the questions, so there's an example on the screen. I'm not sure how clearly it can be seen, though.
You might be able to zoom in a little bit.
Yeah, so the significance of this is, technology in and of itself, as you guys have talked about many, many times on this show, just throwing technology at something doesn't a learning asset or a learning program make. So the significance to all of this is, what is the overall learning strategy, and then what is the overall learning design that goes into, being able to leverage these different types of technologies. And one of the things that we're really very serious about is helping people interact with materials in many different ways. We all know that we're wired differently, that we process information differently, and we know even from, not just training, but from marketing and communications, that we as human beings often need to interact or touch something multiple ways, 7 or 8 times before we begin to internalize it. And so, this game isn't just a game, it's actually part of a broader training strategy where we have a bunch of different types of learning assets. So again, people get that ability or get that practice of interacting with some of the same content over and over again, but in multiple ways. Excellent.
I believe when I did the CPLP exam, Trish, and I went through your program, that I used, because I think you had that maybe about 2 years ago, you had this stuff available. And
yes.
So I was able to use a lot of this stuff, and it was really helpful in my certification process because it wasn't just, rote memorization and going through all that boring material. Well, I shouldn't say boring out loud, but the content.
Well, again, it's a long haul, and for some people, going through 51 pages of topic areas and objectives that could be covered on the exam, for people who are formally educated in learning and performance, many who have a master's degree, let's say, in either adult education or learning technologies or what have you, many folks like that, it's a rehash of the materials. So they need new ways other than sitting down and looking at a textbook, right? They need new ways of being able to kind of refresh their memory. So some of it is theory, some of it is concept, some of it is application, some of it is simple, glossary terms, terminology and definitions. So then, Coline, actually, can you bring up, we've got a word search that's available too. So these are, we're just modeling today just some of the techniques that we use for specific application in order to achieve specific objectives within an overall learning approach. So in this particular case, so again, not only do we have a lot of people who are candidates who go through who have been formally educated in learning and performance, but we also have a lot of people like myself who went through the CPLP certification or are going through the CPLP certification because they're accidental trainers. And so, instead of having a formal education in this stuff, back when I started college in 1987, there really weren't any programs, and there's still hardly any programs on the undergrad level in learning and performance. This was, a field, like for many of us, that I fell into, found a passion for, and the CPLP has been a way for me, as is true of others, to quantify our skills. And that being said, a lot of times going through the certification process, there are a lot of aha moments for accidental trainers. Going through the CPLP prep process, there are a lot of aha moments because things that we've done over the years that we knew about intuitively, as part of our study prep process, we're being exposed to terms for the first time, definitions for the first time, the names of actual theories and theorists. We're learning that there's actually this whole framework that's out there that really describes and defines things that we perhaps learned through trial and error or just kind of came to intuitively. So one of the ways that we reinforce vocabulary terms that we help with, again, learning formal terminology, common terminology to the learning and performance profession. And actually, Coline, if you just go ahead and click on OK, it'll clear that little dialog box. So we use different types of word puzzles. We've got word searches, word jumbles, crossword puzzles. We come up with the different clues and the different words that are available. And what's really cool about that is that this is again a technique that you can use. Word puzzles are fabulous ideas anytime that you're trying to teach especially industry-specific jargon. Especially when the material's like really dry. People love crossword puzzles or tend to love crossword puzzles. And if you give them a variety, and there are tons of tools that are out there. So if you create the crossword puzzle once, then you can take that same content and flip it into a jumble and flip it into a word search and so on and so forth. You can create multiple variations of puzzles and then allow people to play around with whatever their preferences are.
What would you like up next?
Let's take a look at the flashcards.
Flashcards, okay.
So, one of the ways of having an understanding of the learning technologies is not only what's the appropriate tool for the task, but also having an understanding of how people are going to interact with the materials, and then being able to provide them with technologies and formats that are going to make it easier for them to do what they're naturally inclined to do. So in this particular case, what was really interesting to us is that we created these online flashcards. And we created the flashcards, and what we were thinking about was that people would want to work with the flashcards just by themselves. They'd want to be able to flash themselves. Well, we learned pretty quickly that people actually like to flash each other. And so we actually came up with this little tagline that says, "Get flashed." And people like to flash each other. They like to be able to interact with the cards and have a conversation.
And no double entendre, right?
Right, exactly, right. Pun intended. So in this particular case with these flashcards, it's a pretty simple format. We've got a front of the card and then a back of the card. You can see that we actually identified the cards are actually marked. We've got them organized and marked. So there's an F and then a number and then a B and then a number so that we can keep track of which card is the front and back of a particular topic area. And in this particular case, you can see on the screen, you can look at the question and then go ahead and click on the answer. Well, again, we thought that people were going to want to use these flashcards just by themselves in order to practice with the material, but they've been so popular with groups that one of the ways that that people started using them in ways that we didn't anticipate. So we had to start to learn how to repurpose the content of the flashcards to be able to give people different delivery mechanisms so that they could use the flashcards in a group format. And so one of the things that we did was the flashcards, originally we created them to be accessed online, so you had to have an internet connection. You were connected to either a PC or a Mac. You needed to be able to hit the flashcards by going in on the browser. And then we found that people like to actually get together in a group and bring up flashcards on the iPad. And then we actually, in working with candidates from Hilton Worldwide last year, they actually took all of our flashcards and created this cool little ring set of them. And they were able to, print them out and then laminate them and then put the cards on here. And they would take these and actually carry these around the office and then just sort of flash each other as the day went on, which was fabulous. So I think that's another thing that you have to think about with any of these learning technologies. How are people going to access the materials? Where are they when they access the materials? What might they use them for? And then how can you establish a two-way dialogue with your audience or your audiences in order to be able to get a sense of how they use the material and other ways that they'd like to use the material?
So Trish, there's someone in the chat room right now, Polycom Learning, and they have a couple of questions.
Sure.
One of the questions is, if someone has a master's degree in learning and performance or instructional design, why would that person need this certification, meaning the CPLP? And the second part of the question is, how is this certification perceived outside of the industry? And they're saying that they were a member of the ASCD Bay Area chapter for about 15 years.
Yeah,
So-
they're both really good questions, and there are a couple of things there, and I don't want to spend too much time on the certification itself for today, because we want to talk more about the actual learning technologies that can be used here and within this context of certification. But just very briefly, any professional certification differs from an academic degree in obviously many ways. A couple of them that are significant. Usually an academic degree is something that somebody pursues because it's future focused. I'm going to go back to school to achieve my master's in learning technologies because I want to learn more and become competent in that particular area and then achieve my academic degree. Professional certification is being assessed at the level by which you work today. So you're saying, hey, I have consistent, repeatable processes. I'm working within a standardized framework. In this particular case, again, the Workplace Learning and Performance Competency Model from ASTD is recognized in the United States as the professional standard for learning and performance by the U.S. Department of Labor. That gives an awful lot of credibility to the certification right there, but and the competency model itself. But again, any professional certification means go ahead and assess me. It's the same thing with the Project Management Institute's PMP, which is the Project Management Professional. It's the same thing with SHRM, with the PHR or the SPHR. And again, academia tends to be future focused. I will go back to school, learn these things, and over some period of time, achieve this degree that shows some level of competency. Also, the difference between the two of them is professional certification, all of them, as per the requirements from the U.S. Department of Labor, at least here in the United States, require a recertification cycle. So most professional certifications have a 3-year cycle. The CPLP follows that same format. It's the standard, again, according to the U.S. Department of Labor. And that 3-year cycle requires those of us who hold the certification to, as Covey would say, sharpen the saw in that 3-year window. So we have to continuously improve and up our game as learning and performance practitioners, because every 3-year cycle in which we have to recertify, we have to prove to the Certification Institute that we did new things, that we actually have expanded our horizons, and that we are following an ongoing learning and continuous improvement kind of format. Whereas with an academic degree, somebody who got a degree 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 5 years ago, that's fantastic, but what have you done for me lately?
Right. It's basically keeping your skills current.
Absolutely, in order to maintain the credential. Now, that doesn't mean that people with academic degrees don't keep their skills current, but the certification requires, in order for you to maintain the credential, for you to do so, and to prove, again, to be assessed, again, on a 3-year cycle that you've done that. As far as what's good for somebody and not good for somebody, it depends on your goals. Certification or an academic degree, they're both, commitments of time, commitment of money, commitment of resources. It takes you away from other things that are going on in your life. And so you have to be very cognizant of what are you trying to achieve, and, what are the goals, and is professional certification going to get you there, or is an academic degree going to get you there? And they don't necessarily have to be mutually exclusive. The last piece, we've got organizations like Roosevelt University here in Chicago. The entire graduate program for adult education and learning technologies has been overhauled to align to the competency model that was done back in 2004. And you can actually go to Roosevelt and work on your master's, and in addition to also get ready for the CPLP, and come out, in a 2-year time frame with both.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now we've got about 10 minutes left, so let's see. Where are we next?
Where would you like to go next?
So, a couple of other things, just to give you an idea. So, Coline, if you go ahead and bring up the Vimeo channel.
Sure.
You guys are on Vimeo now?
Yeah.
Vimeo's
Yeah,
cool.
and actually I've got a bunch of different Vimeo channels, but they all serve different purposes.
That's great. I like Vimeo.
Yeah, I do too. And a lot of people are not familiar with Vimeo as much as they're familiar with YouTube, of course. And people don't know the difference. Rick, can you tell everybody the difference between, like, why would you publish to Vimeo over YouTube or vice versa?
Well, just some of the basics are Vimeo doesn't really have much of a limit as far as how much you can publish or in terms of the length of the videos. We've done over hour videos without a problem, whereas with YouTube, you get about 8 to 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. Some people have been grandfathered in and have a little bit more time, but not a lot. And there's really no advertisement, so you don't have to deal with a lot of the ads or anything else. And it's a really clean, fast video sharing and community also, if you will. And it's cheap. If you want to go professional, it's like $25 a quarter or a year. It wasn't very much, $50 a year maybe. And that buys you a lot of space. You can upload up to 5 gigabytes a month, which is quite a bit. You can always buy more if you want. And in essence, just a very professional network. You don't get really the same level as you do on YouTube. It's a little more professional.
Yeah, and thanks for that. And so there's a free version of Vimeo too. I mean, you can get started for free as long as you're not selling the content. And of course, you're restricted by the amount of stuff, the capacity that you have, and the amount of video that you can actually post. So right now, you're looking at my Vimeo channel. The content out there is for free. And so, for those of you that are looking at whether it's recordings of webcasts, which is primarily what you'll see on this particular channel right now. So a webcast would be, doing something like a webinar and then recording the webinar and then providing that video, making it available for playback 24/7 to anybody. Vimeo is a great way to go ahead and get started in that space. And so not only can you do webcasts, but you could also walk around with, either a flip camera or a lot of times now, the digital cameras have a recording feature on them, so you can do little video clips. I know for a lot of populations, just even getting started with, talking to somebody for, a minute or two about what it is that they do and how it is that they do it, whether you're talking to somebody who's, part of a sales team, or talking to somebody who's, on the retail floor. People resonate by interacting with other people. I mean, we're social creatures. And so video is just a great way to do it. So there's all kinds of stuff that you can do with Vimeo. Like Rick said, the difference, one of the main differences between Vimeo and YouTube is duration. So you can do short video clips on YouTube and then do much, much longer video pieces on Vimeo. And that's Vimeo with a V, Vimeo.com.
Yeah, in fact, we host all of our shows on Vimeo as well. We started on YouTube. It really didn't work out that well. And on Vimeo, it's been great. Real easy and no problems.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it, and we've actually started we started that particular Vimeo channel in order to be able to share actually with the ASTD chapters primarily some of the content that we're generating, so that they can go ahead and reuse it, again across those 125 chapters and the 30 global networks, so that they've got some traction there. Just a couple of other things real quick. I just want to show you, Coline, if you can go ahead and go to the hr.com page.
Okay.
We did actually last year I did several presentations in a bunch of different venues on the instructional design behind a lot of the media that we use. So if you're interested in, how does this fit with Maslow, or how does this fit with Gagne, or how did we leverage Bloom's taxonomy and all of those types of things in order to, again, not just create, cool, flashy looking technology-based learning assets, for the sake of creating cool, flashy-looking technology-based learning assets, but how does it fit into a broader instructional design and delivery mechanism? Actually, if you take a look on hr.com, and Coline, if you just type in, I don't know if you want to go ahead and just put that URL in the chat room. You have to have a free registration on hr.com in order to access the recording. But Emmy Majeski, who is my VP of programming and my right arm and one of my best friends, and I presented actually at hr.com's virtual technology conference last August. And there's a recording that's available, along with you can download the slide deck and all the rest of it. But again, if you want to spend 60 minutes and learn more about the instructional design, that's a really good way to be able to do that. Really good way to be able to do that. So that presentation is called Building a 21st Century Blended Learning Environment. And again, it gives you more of a behind the scenes of why we created the tools that we did and used the technologies that we did. And then, I think the last thing, there's another cool tool, and this is getting more and more, people are becoming more and more familiar with it. Can we bring up the poll everywhere? And we're going to want to pull that up full screen.
Let me make sure that I have it.
So Poll Everywhere is a tool. Again, there's a fee-based version of it, and then there's a free-based version of it. And this is really pretty slick. I use Poll Everywhere not only as part of the webinar sessions that we do online, but also as part of the presentations. When I'm doing a live presentation, whoop, there's the cat. Hello, cat.
Hi, cat.
And there goes the cat.
Now this is Poll, P-O-L-L, correct?
Yeah, Poll Everywhere. And there's a link, because I actually created a poll this morning.
I had to pull it up in IE, so there it is.
Oh, cool. Can we pull that full screen?
You're not getting it full screen right now?
I think you are. It's smaller. It looks smaller on the preview.
Okay,
it's good now. It's good now. So for those of you that are playing along, you can go ahead and actually answer the question on the poll. So what's your favorite e-education tool? And you can participate in this poll a number of different ways. You can actually send a text message. You can send a text message to, so the phone number, if you will, that you would send a text message to is 248-919. And then you would want to, oh, I'm sorry. The actual phone number that you want to send to is 22333. Again, quote unquote, phone number would be 22333. And then you would preface the message that you're texting. You would want to start it off with 248919. You can also send me a tweet on Twitter. So you would send a tweet to @Trish Uhl, and then you would start the first part of your message with 248919. So that's the tag that says, hey, it goes to this service, this particular poll, and then type in whatever your response is. And if you give it a second, we'll actually see people's responses come in just a second here. So I'm going to go ahead and join. And you can see I was playing around with it this morning. So I'm sending a tweet to myself, and then I'm starting the message with 248919. And again, it's a great little tool that you can use.
That's kind of a nice approach to polling.
So I'm seeing some activity here. Someone says, I love YouTube. With a
there you
U.
go. Yeah, and it's awesome because you can get real-time results, and then you can. So as the administrator of a poll, you can capture all of this fantastic feedback on the back end, and then report against that data so that it persists beyond the actual event. But it's a great way to establish that two-way dialogue. Again, in the middle of whether you're doing a virtual session, such as like what we're doing today, or if you're standing in front of a room, it's really fabulous because the results can come in real time, and there are a number of different ways that you can display the information. The tool's got a bunch of different ways that you can display the results. It's really pretty slick. And again, there's a free version of Poll Everywhere. The basic account is free, so you can, just register for a free account and kick the tires on this and use it in your next training session. I love using this because, if we talk about, Bob Pike talks about getting people ready for learning. So when people first come into your classroom, if you're doing a formal training event, or if you're doing, again, a virtual instructor-led event, how do you get people to leave whatever they came into the room with, mentally, emotionally, behind, and really focus on what they're about to do within, that learning event? This is a great way to cause a disruption that gets them focused, because the first thing that I do when I use this as an activity to kick off a seminar or a learning event is I tell people, instead of taking their cell phones out and turning them off, is I tell them to take their cell phones out and use them to participate in this poll. And people go nuts over that because we're so emotionally connected to our smartphones now that, people get excited that they actually get to do something appropriate with a device that many people now live and breathe by. And then after that, you can have them turn it off, or you can use it as a participatory device throughout the entire session.
And it's probably one of the few useful things they've done with their phones.
Right. So,
why don't you come on back, Coline?
I'm sorry. What time did you want to wrap up, Rick?
We have about another 4 minutes. Why don't you come on
4 minutes?
back?
Okay, sure.
And a cheer to Coline for handling that very well.
You should have me back now.
Just press on your video.
Oh, there we go. Hey.
There we go. Got you back. Well, that's great. So you've got a lot of content created. You've got all the different venues. You really, really did do a blended approach to the whole project.
Oh, yeah. I, again, very serious about making sure that we walk the talk that's represented in the competency model. And I think that that's particularly important, being a CPLP myself, is that we should represent what the model stands for and act accordingly.
And you managed to get several CPLPs to show up on the chat today. There's Diane Smith, there's Dawn Mahoney, and I believe Dave Kelly showed up for a short bit. So, and of course me, but I don't count right now.
That's awesome. And the last thing is it's all about repurposing content too. David Kelly is a fantastic person to follow, not only because of his CPLP-ness, but David is one of the best content curators out there, bar none. So whether you're looking at, what was the latest on the back channel chat from a recent learning conference, or looking for ways to, other ways to leverage technology and social learning, David is one of the guys that you definitely want to check out. And that being said, again, repurposing content, create the videos and then also create transcripts and offer those as PDF files. Take that same content, repurpose it into flashcards, give people multiple choice exams, give them word puzzles to play with. That's the fun and the effectiveness and efficiency of having access to these kinds of technology tools, and especially now that the price points are really so cheap. Believe me, 18 years ago when I got started in all of this stuff, you would pay a couple of limbs in order to be able to do the stuff that it is that we can do today, in many cases for free. So take advantage of it.
And by the way, one thing you can do with PDF, which very few people do, is you can embed video, you can embed Flash, you can do all sorts of fun stuff with PDFs.
That's right. And then use it as the framing structure in order to deliver that content.
Right.
And I saw, a last thing real quick that blew my mind. Actually, they had the Heartland e-learning conference was happening in Oklahoma the past couple of days. And one of the things that we saw happen on Twitter was one of the speakers was actually modeling how to use Google Docs as part of a learning environment. And I didn't realize that you could take a Google Docs spreadsheet and create a form view out of it and be able to capture content by having people go ahead and hit that form online, and basically answer questions, sort of similar as a poll everywhere, but you don't get those back-end analytics. But if you're, again, if you're looking for ways to interact with an audience, that was really interesting to see how Google Docs is being used in order to do that.
Yeah, and it's a cheap way to get forms online. It's free.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, anyway, Trish, as always, you are a pleasure to have on.
Well, thanks, guys. It's always a pleasure to be here. eLearnChat, yay! Wait.
Thanks. And for all of you guys in the chat room, thanks for being there. And by the way, the person from Polycomp, that is Trisha Allen. She's cool. You've got to, if you haven't met Trisha, you should. She's a really nice person.
Say goodbye, Ozzy.
Goodbye, kitty cat. That's a big kitty cat.
So Trish, we'll be seeing you at ICE this year.
Yeah, I'll be in Denver in May. I'm actually going to try and so the eLearning Guild has learning solutions in March, at the end of March, in Orlando, and I'm going to see if I can actually hit the expo hall. But I was originally going to go and attend the entire conference, but I have a friend of mine who's competing, woohoo, in the Olympic show jumping trials in Wellington, Florida that week. So.
Your other love, your first love, equestrian.
My first love, that's right.
I don't like riding horses. The last time I rode a horse, he just went, ugh. I think I was bigger than what he wanted to carry. Literally. Anyway, guys.
I just want to say hi real quick to someone I met recently at your session, Rick. Eric Eisel from ASTD.
Okay.
Orange County. He's doing some great stuff with the IT SIG. So just wanted to say hi to him.
Sounds good. Any more shout outs?
Well, you'll have to, so Eric, you'll have to tell Mel that we all said hello. So, that's another, you want to see an ASTD chapter that's really using social media applications, follow Orange County. Check them out on Twitter.
Sounds good. All right, everyone. Thank you for being there, and we will see you next week. By the way, next week we have Jeanette Brooks from Articulate, our very first Articulate person. So this will be fun. She's going to talk all about the value of community.
Awesome.
So we will see you guys next time. Thanks, Trish. Thanks, Coline.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye, everyone.
See ya.